He paid to save them and ended up marrying both of them. His parents had always told him, a small act of goodness can change someone's life. Rahim carried these words in his heart. He worked in a local factory, earning a modest salary, but he never hesitated to share what he could with those in need. Even if it meant tightening his own belt, he felt happy knowing that he could make someone's day a little easier. One morning, Rahim received a work assignment that required him to travel to a neighboring city. It was a bustling place, very different from his quiet hometown. The streets were crowded with people rushing to their jobs, vendors calling out their daily offers, and vehicles moving in every direction. For Rahim, the city was overwhelming at first, but he had a purpose, and he focused on completing his task. As he walked through one of the busy streets, he noticed a small crowd gathered near a narrow alley. Curious, he moved closer and saw two young women arguing with a man. From the expressions and gestures, it was clear that the situation was serious. One of the women, Amina, looked scared but determined, while the other, Sana, tried to calm the man down. The man seemed angry, pointing at papers in his hand, probably demanding payment. Rahim quickly realized that both women were in trouble. They were in danger of losing something very important because of debts they could not pay. Rahim's heart went out to them immediately. He had always felt a strong sense of responsibility toward people in need, and this moment was no different. Without thinking about his own safety or how it might affect him, he approached the group. "Excuse me," he said in a calm voice, "I can help. What is happening here?" The man turned to him with surprise, his anger momentarily forgotten. "These women owe money they cannot pay. If they don't settle it now, they will face serious trouble," he said, showing the documents. Rahim looked at the papers carefully. He understood the severity of the situation. These were not small debts. They were enough to ruin someone's life if left unpaid. Amina and Sana looked at Rahim with a mixture of hope and disbelief. They had not expected anyone to step in, and here was a stranger offering help without hesitation. I can help you pay this," Rahim said softly. "I will make sure you are safe." Amina blinked, feeling a rush of relief. Sana's eyes filled with tears and she nodded quickly. "Thank you," she whispered. "We didn't know what to do." Rahim reached into his bag and gave the man the money needed to settle the debts. The man counted it quickly and, satisfied, left without another word. The moment was tense, but the relief afterward was palpable. Amina and Sana both let out deep sighs, their faces softening. They looked at Rahim as if he were a guardian angel sent at just the right moment. After the immediate danger was over, Rahim walked with the two women to a nearby cafe. He wanted to make sure they were all right and to understand their situation better. Over cups of tea, the women shared their stories. Amina spoke first. She came from a modest family that had struggled for years. Her father had passed away when she was young, and her mother worked tirelessly to provide for the family. Despite her efforts, life had never been easy. Amina had taken a loan to pay for her younger sister's education, hoping to give her a chance at a better future. But when she lost her job, she couldn't keep up with the payments, and that had brought her into the dangerous situation they had just escaped. Sana's story was different but equally difficult. She was the eldest of 5 siblings and had taken on the responsibility of caring for them after her father fell ill. Her mother worked as a seamstress, but the income was barely enough. Sana had borrowed money to cover medical expenses and household needs. Despite working multiple jobs, she had fallen behind and creditors had started threatening her. Sana's voice trembled as she recounted the events, but Rahim listened patiently, never interrupting, showing only concern and compassion. Rahim felt a mixture of emotions: sadness for the hardships these women had faced, admiration for their courage, and a deep desire to continue helping them. He realized that his assistance had done more than just settle debts. It had brought a sense of hope back into their lives. He could see that they were strong, intelligent, and capable, but sometimes life's challenges could overwhelm even the strongest hearts. Over the next few days, Rahim stayed in the city longer than he had planned. He wanted to make sure Amina and Sana were safe and had the resources to stabilize their lives. He helped them find temporary jobs and even arranged a small place for them to stay. He did not do this to gain recognition or favor. He simply wanted to make a difference. In their presence, he felt a new kind of responsibility, one that went beyond helping strangers. He was determined to ensure that they had the chance to stand on their own feet again. During this time, Rahim noticed something else. Beyond their struggles, both women had qualities that deeply impressed him. Amina was thoughtful, careful with her words, and had a quiet strength that inspired those around her. Sana was energetic, cheerful, and always found ways to make people smile even in tough moments. Together, they balanced each other in ways that felt natural. Rahim enjoyed their company and found himself looking forward to their conversations and shared moments. It was also clear that Amina and Sana were beginning to trust him. They shared personal stories, dreams, and fears, things they had not revealed to anyone else. This trust was precious, and Rahim treated it with care. He never pressured them or imposed his views. Instead, he offered guidance, emotional support, and practical solutions. The bond between them grew slowly, built on honesty, compassion, and mutual respect. One evening, after a long day of helping them settle in, Rahim reflected on everything that had happened. A small act of kindness, stepping in to pay a debt, had unexpectedly changed his life. He had never imagined that helping strangers could lead to such a meaningful connection. He realized that life sometimes brought people together for reasons beyond understanding. And for Rahim, this was one of those moments. As he watched Amina and Sana laughing together in the modest apartment he had helped them secure, he felt a sense of fulfillment he had never known before. He knew that this was only the beginning of a longer journey. There would be challenges ahead, decisions to make, and emotions to navigate, but Rahim was ready. His heart had opened to the possibilities of love, friendship, and responsibility in ways he could never have predicted. That night, as Rahim walked back to his temporary lodging, he thought about the strange twists of fate that had brought them together. He realized that helping someone was not just about money or immediate solutions. It was about being present, listening, and caring when it mattered most. And in helping Amina and Sana, he had discovered not only their resilience but also a new depth within himself, a heart capable of extraordinary compassion. Little did he know, this encounter was just the first chapter of a story that would change all their lives forever. What had started as an act of generosity was slowly turning into something far more complex, emotional, and life-defining. Rahim had entered their lives as a helper, but over time, he would find himself connected to them in ways he could never have imagined, setting the stage for events that would challenge his heart, his values, and his understanding of love. After those first few days, Rahim continued to spend time with Amina and Sana, helping them adjust to their new life. The city was still overwhelming for them, but with Rahim's guidance, they began to feel more confident. Rahim arranged for Amina to work at a small bookstore where she could use her knowledge and love for reading, while Sana started assisting at a local cafe. Both jobs were modest, but they offered independence and stability. Watching them grow more comfortable with their routines filled Rahim with a quiet happiness he had not expected. As the days passed, the bond between them strengthened. It was no longer just about helping with debts or survival. Rahim found himself drawn to their personalities, their laughter, and the way they looked at the world. Amina, with her calm and thoughtful demeanor, often stayed late at the bookstore, organizing shelves and helping customers find the perfect books. She had a gentle patience that seemed to soothe even the most anxious visitors. Rahim admired her quiet strength and the way she carried herself with dignity, even after everything she had endured. Sana, in contrast, had a lively energy that could light up any room. She had a knack for making people laugh and feel comfortable, even in stressful situations. At the cafe, she greeted customers with warmth and friendliness, and soon became a favorite among the regulars. Rahim often found himself smiling when he heard Sana's cheerful voice calling out orders or teasing a colleague in good humor. Despite their differences, Amina and Sana complemented each other in remarkable ways. Together, they created a balance of calm and energy, thoughtfulness and joy. Rahim began noticing small moments that made him feel a deep sense of connection with both women. Sometimes, while walking through the crowded streets, he would see Amina pause to help a child who had dropped their bag, or watch Sana encourage a shy coworker with a kind word. Their compassion and thoughtfulness reminded him of the values his parents had taught him. He felt proud to have such women in his life, not just as people he was helping, but as individuals whose spirits inspired him. At the same time, Amina and Sana were learning to trust Rahim in ways they had never trusted anyone before. They shared their fears and dreams openly. Amina often spoke about her desire to further her education, to study literature, and maybe even write stories one day. Sana talked about her dream of opening a small bakery, a place where she could combine her love for cooking with helping her family. Rahim listened attentively to both, encouraging them and offering advice when needed. He felt honored to be part of their lives in such a meaningful way. One evening, after finishing his work for the day, Rahim invited Amina and Sana to take a walk with him along a quiet street near the river. The city's noise seemed to fade as they strolled, and for a while, the three of them simply enjoyed each other's company. Rahim noticed how the women laughed at small jokes, how they shared stories of their childhood, and how comfortable they felt around him. There was a sense of peace in these moments, a feeling that life was slowly settling into a rhythm that included warmth, trust, and friendship. Despite the happiness, Rahim knew that challenges were still ahead. The people in the city had already begun to notice his unusual relationship with the two women. Some neighbors whispered behind their backs, questioning why a single man was spending so much time and attention on two unrelated women. Others admired his generosity but warned him that such closeness could create problems. Rahim paid little attention to the gossip, focusing instead on what truly mattered, the well-being and happiness of Amina and Sana. However, the women were not immune to the effects of society's opinions. Amina occasionally worried about what her friends and family might think if they knew how closely she was connected to Rahim. Sana, too, felt nervous at times, concerned that their unusual arrangement could attract misunderstanding. Yet, both women trusted Rahim and appreciated his honesty and integrity. He never forced them into any decisions, never asked for anything in return, and treated them with respect. Over time, this trust became the foundation of their growing bond. Rahim also began to reflect on his own feelings. What had started as simple compassion for people in need was transforming into something more complex. He found himself thinking about Amina and Sana throughout the day, worrying about their safety, hoping they felt supported, and appreciating the little things about them. The way Amina's eyes lit up when she discovered a new book, or the way Sana's laughter could make even a stressful day feel lighter. These emotions were new to him, and sometimes they confused him, but he understood that they were real and meaningful. One afternoon, Rahim accompanied Amina to the bookstore to help her organize a large delivery of new books. As they sorted through the piles, Amina shared her ideas for a small reading club she wanted to start for children in the neighborhood. Rahim encouraged her, offering to help with logistics and spreading the word. Amina's excitement was contagious, and Rahim felt proud to see her taking steps toward her dreams. Meanwhile, Sana was at the cafe, experimenting with a new pastry recipe she hoped to sell someday. Rahim visited her during a break, tasting her creations and giving her honest feedback. Both women were ambitious and creative, and Rahim admired their determination. Evenings often became a time for shared stories and quiet reflection. The three of them would sit in the modest apartment, sipping tea and talking about their lives. Rahim shared memories from his childhood, lessons he had learned, and moments that shaped him into the man he was today. Amina and Sana listened attentively, sometimes laughing, sometimes sharing similar experiences of struggle and resilience. Through these conversations, they discovered shared values and perspectives, deepening the emotional connection between them. Over time, Rahim noticed subtle signs that both women had developed a strong sense of care for him as well. Amina would prepare small meals for him when he returned from work, while Sana often left thoughtful notes or small gifts to brighten his day. They showed appreciation in ways that were sincere and heartfelt. Rahim realized that the bond they were forming was mutual, built not just on assistance, but on respect, trust, and genuine affection. Despite the growing closeness, Rahim remained aware of the importance of balance. He never wanted the women to feel dependent on him or to compromise their independence. Instead, he encouraged them to pursue their goals, solve problems on their own when possible, and embrace their strengths. He knew that true support meant empowering them, not creating reliance. This approach earned their admiration and gratitude, and further strengthened their connection. As weeks turned into months, the relationship between Rahim, Amina, and Sana evolved naturally. They were no longer just a helper and those he helped. They were companions who shared experiences, supported each other, and found comfort in one another's presence. While society's opinions lingered in the background, the three of them focused on the immediate reality: mutual respect, shared responsibility, and growing emotional intimacy. One day, while walking through a park together, Rahim realized just how deeply he cared for both women. The thought surprised him at first, as he had never expected to feel such strong emotions for two people simultaneously. But when he looked at Amina's calm, thoughtful expression, and then at Sana's lively, cheerful face, he understood that his feelings were genuine and unique for each of them. He knew that navigating these emotions would not be simple, but he also knew that he wanted to continue being part of their lives in every way possible. That evening, Rahim reflected on how far they had all come. From a chance meeting on a crowded street, he had grown close to two remarkable women. They had shared struggles, celebrated small victories, and built a bond that went beyond friendship. What had begun as a simple act of kindness was now a deeply meaningful relationship, one that had the potential to change all their lives in ways none of them could have predicted. Rahim understood that the next steps would be delicate. He could not ignore the feelings developing between them, but he also knew that honesty and communication would be crucial. The journey ahead would involve challenges, emotional decisions, and societal scrutiny, but Rahim felt ready. He trusted that with respect, care, and understanding, they could navigate whatever came next. And so, life settled into a rhythm. Days were filled with work, small joys, and shared moments of laughter. Nights brought quiet reflection and conversations that deepened their connection. Each of them learned from the other, grew stronger, and discovered new aspects of themselves. Rahim's initial act of helping two women in need had blossomed into a bond rich with trust, mutual care, and a sense of family that none of them had expected, but all had come to value deeply. It was during this time that Rahim realized something important. Helping someone was not just about solving immediate problems. It was about understanding, connecting, and being present. And in helping Amina and Sana, he had not only changed their lives but had begun a journey that would change his life as well, in ways that were profound, complex, and beautiful. As the days turned into weeks, life seemed to be settling into a new normal for Rahim, Amina, and Sana. They had grown closer, sharing routines, work, and small moments of joy. However, Rahim knew that life rarely remained uncomplicated. Beneath the laughter and quiet evenings, there was a growing awareness that their bond, as strong as it had become, would face challenges. One morning, Rahim visited the bookstore where Amina worked. He noticed that she was unusually quiet, her eyes distant as she arranged the shelves. Concerned, he gently asked, "Amina, is everything all right?" Amina hesitated before speaking, unsure how much to reveal. "It's nothing serious," she said softly. "Just some friends and family have been asking questions. They're worried about how close I've become with you, Rahim." Rahim nodded, understanding immediately. People often question things they did not fully understand. Amina's words, though quiet, carried the weight of worry and fear. Rahim took a moment before responding. "Amina, I understand their concerns, but what matters most is that we are honest with ourselves and with each other. No one else can truly know the bond we share, and it is built on respect and care." Meanwhile, Sana faced similar concerns. At the cafe, she spoke with Rahim after her shift. "People have been talking," she admitted, her voice tinged with nervousness. "They don't understand why a man is helping both of us, why we spend so much time together. Some even question our intentions." Rahim listened quietly, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "Sana," he said gently, "their opinions cannot dictate our lives. What we have is real and meaningful. We need to trust ourselves and our feelings." Even with Rahim's reassurances, the reality of public scrutiny began to weigh on the women. They were cautious about who they spoke to and how much they shared. Sometimes, simple errands became complicated because neighbors or acquaintances would whisper or stare. Amina occasionally avoided social gatherings, worried about judgment. Sana, normally cheerful and outgoing, sometimes appeared distracted and tense. Rahim noticed these changes and felt a deep responsibility to protect them, not just from danger, but from misunderstanding and societal pressure. During this period, Rahim also began noticing his own feelings growing stronger. What had started as compassion had evolved into a deeper emotional connection with both women. He found himself thinking about them constantly, worrying about their happiness, and feeling a protective urge he could not ignore. These emotions were complex and sometimes confusing. Loving two people at the same time was not something he had ever anticipated, yet he knew the bond he shared with each was genuine and significant. One afternoon, an unexpected incident brought these emotions to the surface. Rahim, Amina, and Sana were walking home from the market when they encountered a man who had previously threatened them regarding the debts they had owed. Though the debts had been settled, the man seemed angry that he had lost leverage. He approached them, raising his voice and gesturing aggressively. Rahim stepped forward immediately, positioning himself between the women and the man. "Please leave," Rahim said firmly. "There is nothing more to discuss." The man scoffed, but seeing Rahim's determined expression and the seriousness in his voice, decided it was not worth the trouble. He left, muttering under his breath, but the encounter left Amina and Sana visibly shaken. Rahim guided them to a quieter street and held their hands gently, reassuring them. "It's all right now," he said softly. "You are safe." After that day, Rahim realized that protecting the women would involve more than paying debts or arranging jobs. He needed to ensure they felt secure emotionally, physically, and socially. This understanding deepened his sense of responsibility and commitment. He began thinking about their long-term safety, planning ways for them to live without fear or worry. As the bond between them grew, so did the emotional complexity. Rahim found that he could not ignore the feelings of attachment that had developed for both women. He cared deeply for Amina's quiet strength and thoughtful nature, but he also admired Sana's warmth and energy. Each brought a different kind of joy into his life. Yet, he feared that acknowledging these feelings openly could complicate matters. He did not want to hurt either woman, and he struggled with the idea of how to navigate his emotions without causing pain. One evening, Rahim invited Amina and Sana to the park by the river, a place where they often went to relax and talk. The sun was setting, casting a warm golden glow over the water. They sat on a bench, sipping tea and sharing small stories from their day. Rahim watched them, feeling a surge of affection and admiration. "Amina," he began carefully, "I have something I want to share." She looked at him attentively, sensing the seriousness in his tone. "I care about both of you very deeply. This is not just about helping or supporting you, it is more than that. My feelings for you are real, and I don't want to hide them." Amina's eyes widened, but she did not speak immediately. She seemed to consider his words carefully, weighing her own emotions. Sana, sitting beside her, looked at Rahim with curiosity, sensing the honesty in his confession. Rahim continued, "I understand if this is confusing, and I do not expect anything to change immediately. But I want to be honest with you, because I believe in openness and respect." The moment was quiet, filled only with the gentle sounds of the river and distant city life. Amina finally spoke, her voice calm but thoughtful. "Rahim, I have grown to care about you too. Your support, your kindness, and your understanding mean a lot to me. But this is unexpected, and I need time to understand my feelings fully." Sana nodded in agreement. "I feel the same," she admitted. "You've become an important part of our lives, Rahim, but we've never imagined this situation. We need to think carefully about what this means." Rahim understood immediately. He did not want to rush them or force a decision. Love and trust, he knew, required patience and care. Over the next few days, they continued to spend time together, learning to navigate their evolving emotions. Sometimes there were awkward moments, misunderstandings, or uncertainty, but the foundation of honesty and mutual respect kept them connected. Meanwhile, external pressures began to surface more clearly. Friends, co-workers, and neighbors occasionally questioned their closeness. Some were curious, others skeptical. Amina and Sana felt the strain of these opinions, and Rahim realized that their unconventional bond might face societal scrutiny that could test their patience and commitment. Yet, rather than pulling back, Rahim encouraged open communication, reminding the women that their feelings and decisions mattered most. In this period, Rahim also began thinking about the future in practical terms. He considered housing, finances, and stability. He wanted Amina and Sana to feel secure not just emotionally, but in every aspect of life. He began creating plans that would allow them to live independently while still being together, balancing care with respect for their autonomy. This careful thought reflected his deep commitment and understanding of their needs. One evening, as they sat together after a long day, Rahim reflected on the journey so far. From a chance encounter on a crowded street to settling debts and finding jobs, to building a home filled with shared laughter and trust, the journey had been remarkable. He realized that life had a way of surprising people, bringing them together in unexpected ways, and teaching lessons about compassion, resilience, and love. Yet, Rahim also knew that the most challenging decisions were ahead. The feelings between him, Amina, and Sana were undeniable, but society's expectations and their own uncertainties created obstacles. How could he express his love without causing pain? How could he navigate the complex emotions of everyone involved? These questions weighed heavily on him, but he also understood that avoiding them would not make them disappear. During this time, Amina and Sana continued to grow more confident in their work and personal goals. Amina's reading club started attracting children from the neighborhood, and she found joy in guiding them and sharing her love of books. Sana experimented with new recipes for her small bakery project, gradually gaining customers and recognition. Rahim supported both endeavors quietly, never seeking attention but taking pride in their successes. Through all these experiences, the bond between the three deepened. They shared not just responsibilities and routines, but dreams, fears, and hopes. Rahim realized that love was not a simple emotion. It was patience, understanding, and commitment. And though challenges lay ahead, he felt ready to face them, trusting that honesty, respect, and care would guide them through. As part 3 of their journey concluded, it was clear that life was moving into a new phase, one where emotions were more complex, choices were more difficult, and the bonds they had formed would be tested. Rahim, Amina, and Sana were no longer just companions. They were individuals navigating a delicate balance of love, trust, and societal expectations. The decisions they made next would shape their lives forever, and each of them understood the importance of courage, patience, and sincerity in the days to come. Life for Rahim, Amina, and Sana had settled into a delicate balance. The 3 of them had grown closer, sharing routines, laughter, and moments of quiet reflection. Yet beneath the calm, there was an undercurrent of uncertainty. Each of them knew that the situation they were in was unusual, and that the next steps would require courage, honesty, and careful consideration. Rahim, in particular, felt the weight of responsibility pressing on him more than ever. One morning, Rahim decided to visit Amina at the bookstore. He found her arranging new books on the shelves, her brow furrowed as she concentrated. "Good morning, Amina," he said gently. She looked up, offering a small smile, but there was a hint of worry in her eyes. "Good morning, Rahim," she replied softly. He noticed immediately that something was troubling her. "What's on your mind?" he asked, stepping closer. Amina hesitated before speaking. "It's just my family. They are concerned about how close we've become. They don't fully understand our situation. Some of them even suggested that I should distance myself from you." Rahim listened quietly, nodding. He understood her concerns. Family ties were strong, and their opinions often carried weight. Rahim placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "Amina, I respect your family and understand their concerns, but what matters most is that we are honest with ourselves. We cannot control what others think, but we can choose how we respond and how we live our lives. We need to decide what is right for us together." Later that day, he met Sana at the cafe. She was cleaning tables, her usually cheerful demeanor shadowed by worry. "Rahim," she said hesitantly, "people have been talking. Some are questioning our bond. Even some co-workers have made comments. I don't know how to handle it." Rahim took a deep breath, understanding the complexity of the situation. "Sana," he said gently, "I know this isn't easy. What we have is uncommon and it will draw attention. But our connection is real, and it is built on trust and respect. We need to face these challenges honestly together and not let fear dictate our choices." Sana nodded, feeling comforted by his words, yet she could not completely shake the unease that lingered. Over the next few weeks, the 3 of them spent time reflecting on their situation. Rahim realized that his feelings for both women had grown deeper and more sincere. He admired Amina's calm intelligence and her quiet strength, and he cherished Sana's energy, warmth, and ability to bring joy even in difficult moments. Each of them had a unique place in his heart, and he knew he could not deny the bond he felt with either. One evening, Rahim invited Amina and Sana to sit together in the small living room of their shared apartment. The air was calm, filled with the faint aroma of tea and freshly baked bread from Sana's experiments in the kitchen. Rahim spoke carefully, wanting to express his feelings without overwhelming them. "I have thought a lot about us," he began. "What we share is unique and it is important to me. I care deeply for both of you. I want to be honest about my feelings because I cannot pretend that they don't exist." Amina looked at him thoughtfully. "Rahim, I care about you too," she admitted. "But this is so unusual, I don't know how to handle it. I need time to understand my feelings fully and what this means for us." Sana nodded in agreement. "I feel the same," she said softly. "You have become a part of our lives in ways we never expected, but we need to think carefully about what the future holds. Rahim understood. He did not want to rush them or force a decision. Love, he knew, required patience, trust, and mutual understanding. Over the following days, he continued to support them while allowing space for reflection. He encouraged them to express their fears, hopes, and dreams freely, reinforcing the importance of communication. During this period, Rahim also faced practical challenges. The apartment was modest, but with 3 people living there, managing finances and responsibilities required careful planning. He worked tirelessly to ensure that both women had stability in their work, personal goals, and daily lives. Amina continued to build her reading club, while Sana experimented with new recipes for her bakery plans. Rahim quietly provided resources and guidance without seeking recognition, understanding that their independence was just as important as his support. As days turned into weeks, an important realization dawned on all 3 of them. The bond they shared was not just emotional, but also deeply rooted in trust and respect. Each of them had grown to depend on the others, not out of necessity, but out of genuine affection and connection. Rahim, Amina, and Sana realized that their lives had intertwined in ways that could not easily be undone. The question now was how to move forward with honesty and courage. One afternoon, Rahim took Amina and Sana to the riverside park, a place where they had spent many quiet moments together. He spoke gently, "We need to make a choice about our future. It won't be simple, and there will be challenges, but I believe in us. I believe that we can find a way to continue our lives together with respect and love." Amina and Sana exchanged glances, sensing the seriousness of his words. "Rahim," Amina said slowly, "I've thought about this a lot. You've been there for us in ways no one else has. Your kindness, patience, and understanding have changed our lives. I trust you, and I want to continue this journey with you." Sana nodded, her eyes shining with emotion. "I feel the same," she added. "We care about you deeply, Rahim. We want to face the future together, even if it's unconventional." Hearing these words, Rahim felt a wave of relief and gratitude. The decision was not made lightly, but it was rooted in honesty, trust, and mutual respect. They understood the challenges that lay ahead, but they also recognized the strength of the bond they had built. Their connection was no longer just about survival or gratitude. It was about genuine love, care, and commitment. In the following days, the 3 of them began discussing practical steps for their shared future. They talked about living arrangements, financial planning, and social challenges. They acknowledged that society might not fully understand their choice, but they agreed that their happiness and mutual respect were more important than external approval. They also set boundaries, ensuring that each person's individuality, dreams, and personal goals were respected. Rahim, Amina, and Sana also began thinking about ways to communicate their unconventional relationship to those around them. They decided to focus on honesty and transparency, explaining their choices calmly and confidently. Rahim understood that acceptance might not come easily, but he believed that genuine care, respect, and shared responsibility could eventually win the understanding of others. Through all of this, the emotional connection between them deepened. Rahim found that he could express love differently to each woman, appreciating Amina's quiet wisdom and Sana's lively energy without diminishing either. Amina and Sana, in turn, supported each other and Rahim, creating a dynamic of mutual care that was rare and precious. They celebrated small victories together, shared responsibilities, and faced challenges as a united front. One evening, as they sat together watching the sunset from their apartment balcony, Rahim reflected on the journey that had brought them here. From the moment he had stepped into the crowded streets of the city and paid off their debts, his life had changed in ways he could never have imagined. What had started as an act of kindness had grown into a bond filled with love, trust, and shared purpose. Amina leaned her head on Rahim's shoulder, and Sana held his hand gently. In that quiet moment, Rahim realized that the unconventional path they had chosen was not easy, but it was authentic. They had faced challenges, societal judgment, and personal fears, yet they had arrived at a decision built on honesty, respect, and shared affection. He knew that their journey was far from over, but he also understood that together, they could face whatever came next. In part 4 of their story, the turning point had arrived. Rahim, Amina, and Sana had faced their doubts, fears, and societal pressures, and had made a conscious choice to move forward together. Their bond was no longer defined by circumstance or necessity, but by genuine love, mutual respect, and the courage to follow a path that was uniquely their own. The days ahead promised challenges, but also the possibility of a life filled with understanding, support, and enduring connection. After making the important decision to move forward together, Rahim, Amina, and Sana began the next phase of their lives. Life was no longer about uncertainty, fear, or surviving difficulties. It was about building a home and a future founded on love, trust, and shared responsibility. They understood that the journey ahead would not be simple, but they were ready to face it together, supporting each other through every challenge. In the weeks that followed, the trio worked to create a home that felt safe, welcoming, and comfortable for all three of them. The modest apartment they shared became a space filled with warmth. Rahim ensured that practical needs, like finances and household arrangements, were handled carefully. Amina took charge of organizing their small library, creating a cozy reading corner where she could work on her reading club activities. Sana turned the kitchen into a space of creativity, experimenting with recipes and baking treats that filled the home with delightful aromas. Evenings became a special time for them. After long days at work, they would gather around the small dining table for dinner, sharing stories of the day. They laughed together, offered advice to one another, and supported each other's challenges. Rahim often found himself marveling at how well they complemented each other. Amina's calm, thoughtful nature balanced Sana's lively, energetic personality, and both of them brought out different sides of him. He had never imagined that life could be this harmonious, and he cherished every moment. As time passed, their bond continued to deepen. Rahim made sure that Amina and Sana had the space to pursue their personal dreams while maintaining the closeness they shared. Amina's reading club began to grow, attracting more children from the neighborhood. She found joy in helping them explore new stories, nurturing not only their love for books but also their confidence and curiosity. Rahim often joined in, reading stories aloud or helping organize small activities for the children. It brought him immense satisfaction to see Amina's passion inspiring others. Sana, too, flourished in her endeavors. She opened a small bakery corner in the cafe where she worked, selling pastries and snacks she had created. Her business slowly gained popularity, and she received encouragement from customers and friends. Rahim provided support quietly, helping her with planning and ensuring she had the resources she needed. He admired her determination and creativity, and he enjoyed seeing her confidence grow with each passing day. Despite the happiness within their home, they were not blind to the challenges outside. Some members of the community still whispered about their unusual arrangement, and societal norms made it difficult for people to understand their choices. Rahim, Amina, and Sana, however, had learned to face such scrutiny with patience and calm. They chose to focus on what mattered most, their own happiness and the genuine connection they shared. Over time, many people began to see the sincerity of their bond, and some neighbors even expressed admiration for their honesty and commitment. Within the home, the trio continued to navigate emotions carefully. Rahim had grown more comfortable expressing his love to both women individually and collectively. Amina felt cherished for her wisdom, patience, and thoughtfulness, while Sana felt valued for her energy, creativity, and warmth. Both women, in turn, supported Rahim and each other, creating a dynamic of mutual respect, love, and understanding. They celebrated successes together, comforted one another in difficult moments, and shared the responsibilities of daily life with harmony. Life also brought small, joyful moments that strengthened their bond. Weekend walks in the park became a routine, where they would share quiet conversations or watch children play. Celebrations of birthdays, achievements, and festivals were marked with laughter, music, and delicious food. Rahim noticed that even simple moments, like sharing a cup of tea in the morning or helping each other with chores, were now imbued with deeper meaning because of their love and connection. As months turned into years, Rahim, Amina, and Sana began to reflect on the journey that had brought them together. They remembered the crowded street where Rahim had first met them, the dangerous moment with the creditors, and the long days spent rebuilding their lives. What had started as an act of kindness had evolved into a profound bond built on trust, respect, and love. Rahim often marveled at how life had guided them together, teaching lessons about compassion, courage, and understanding along the way. One evening, Rahim gathered Amina and Sana on the balcony of their apartment. The city lights twinkled below, and the gentle breeze carried a sense of calm. "I want you both to know how grateful I am," he said softly. "Not just for the love you've shown me, but for the way we've built this life together. You have made me a better person, and I hope I've done the same for you." Amina smiled, her eyes reflecting sincerity. "Rahim, we are grateful to you as well. You saved us when we needed help, but more than that, you gave us respect, understanding, and trust. That has meant more than words can express." Sana nodded in agreement, squeezing his hand gently. "We have learned so much from each other, and our lives are richer because of it. Together, we are stronger than we ever were alone." Their shared reflection reinforced the truth they had discovered. Love could take many forms, and family was not defined solely by tradition or society. The bond they shared was rooted in understanding, care, and mutual support. They had built something rare and precious, a life where each person's individuality was respected while nurturing collective harmony. As time went on, they faced practical challenges as well, from financial planning to household responsibilities, but they tackled them together with patience and cooperation. Each obstacle became an opportunity to strengthen their teamwork and problem-solving skills. They found joy not only in successes, but also in overcoming difficulties together, which deepened their trust and reliance on each other. Rahim also made sure that Amina and Sana had the freedom to grow personally and professionally. Amina pursued further studies in literature, taking evening classes while managing her reading club. Sana expanded her bakery venture, experimenting with new recipes and introducing small workshops to teach children baking skills. Rahim encouraged both of them wholeheartedly, celebrating their achievements and offering guidance when needed. Their support for one another was genuine, and it became a defining aspect of their shared life. The community slowly began to accept their unconventional arrangement. People who had once been curious or skeptical now saw that their relationship was built on honesty, care, and respect. Children in the neighborhood adored Amina and Sana, and adults admired Rahim's integrity and dedication. Though not everyone fully understood, the trio had earned quiet respect for living authentically and nurturing meaningful connections. Over time, Rahim, Amina, and Sana also focused on personal growth. They encouraged each other to pursue hobbies, learn new skills, and maintain friendships outside the home. Their bond was strong, but it was never restrictive. Each person had the freedom to be themselves while remaining deeply connected. This balance brought a sense of fulfillment and happiness that was rare and precious. One quiet evening, as they sat together by the window watching the sunset, Rahim reflected on the journey that had brought them here. From a single act of helping strangers in need, life had unfolded into a story of love, trust, and resilience. He realized that true connection required patience, understanding, and courage. It was about supporting one another through challenges, celebrating successes, and nurturing a sense of belonging and respect. Amina leaned against him, and Sana rested her head on his shoulder. In that moment, Rahim understood that they had created something extraordinary. It was not conventional by society's standards, but it was deeply authentic. Their life together was filled with laughter, shared responsibilities, and quiet moments of reflection. Each person had grown stronger individually and as a group, building a home that was more than just a physical space. It was a sanctuary of love, trust, and mutual care. Looking forward, Rahim knew that life would continue to present challenges, but he also knew that they were equipped to face them. Their bond had been tested by adversity, societal scrutiny, and emotional complexity, yet they had emerged stronger and more united. The story of how they came together, from a crowded street in a moment of desperation to a life of love and cooperation, was a testament to the power of kindness, empathy, and courage. And so, Rahim, Amina, and Sana continued their journey, building a life that was both ordinary and extraordinary. Ordinary in the sense of daily routines, work, and shared responsibilities. Extraordinary in the depth of their bond, the love they shared, and the courage they had shown to follow an unconventional path. They had discovered that family, connection, and happiness were not bound by tradition alone, but by the sincerity of the heart and the willingness to care for one another unconditionally. In the end, what began as an act of generosity had transformed into a life of profound meaning. Rahim's decision to help two women in need had not only saved them from immediate danger, but had also opened the door to a future filled with love, respect, and shared growth. Their story was a reminder that kindness can change lives, compassion can create lasting bonds, and courage can lead to happiness in ways one could never imagine.